What is up, Thinking Big World? Thank you so much for listening today. Today, we're going to be talking about mind shifts and secrets for overcoming anxiety. We're going to discuss what anxiety even looks like. What are some of the triggers and what are some of the simple mind shift secrets that can help? And I think this is so important with everything that's going on right now in the world. And we have such a huge treat for you today. We have Tamela Appel. She is a positive mindset coach and keynote speaker. She runs workshops and mastermind groups for this. And she runs a Facebook group, and I absolutely love the name of this group. It's the Transformational Squirrel Network. Just by that name alone, you got to listen to this. And she supports people in discovering how make just a few simple shifts in their routine, along with changing the meaning that they attach to situations can change everything in their lives and change dramatically. And Tamela encourages people to embrace the beautiful souls that they are. So today, we're going to be thinking big in our mental health and overcoming anxiety.
Welcome to the Thinking Big podcast with Sean Osborne, the show helping you think bigger into your life and potential. Sean believes by equipping you with the tools, strategies, and philosophies required to be successful in all aspects of your life, you can achieve anything you believe in. Empowering our own growth makes a deeply positive and lasting impact on our lives, community, and our world. Now, here's Sean.
Well, Tamela, I want to welcome you to the podcast and tell everybody about yourself.
Hey, Sean, thanks for inviting me on here. I'm excited to be here. I teach elementary school, and I have started doing some work supporting people who have anxiety, and I am excited to show them how to do some mind shift work. So that's where I am at right now.
So when you say living with anxiety and depression, how do you know what is anxiety and what does that depression look like?
Well, I actually lived with anxiety and depression for a good part of my adult life. And, it was such a battle in that you don't feel like doing anything. You don't feel like leaving your house. You don't feel like doing the things that you used to enjoy doing. Or sometimes it's more about being anxious and worrying about what could happen about things or what could happen to people or not wanting to go out for coffee because what if I run into a certain person or it's just so many things going on in your mind and just being not wanting to be around people, not wanting to go to work, not wanting to hang out with friends. And part of it was in my head thinking that I didn't have any, but well, actually, no, let me correct that. I knew that I had friends. I just didn't realize how supportive they would be for me. I didn't want to burden anybody with my negative energy and I didn't want other people to see that I was sad or that I was hurting. And so I dived into so many mindset books. I read Eckhart Tolle and Deepak Chopra, Oprah, Rhonda Byrne, like so many, like dozens and dozens. And I went to watch Tony Robbins at you or Unleashing the Power Within. I went to Dr. Joe Dispenza's meditation workshops. I went to see Oprah in Seattle. I went to see Deepak Chopra, so I went to all of these people to try to help myself and read so many things and watched so many videos and just all trying to get all of these techniques to help myself. So, but I felt like I still wasn't fixed, if you know what I mean. Like
Right.
I felt like I was still stuck.
Right.
Yeah. So, but feeling stuck, it was one day I just decided enough is enough. I've had it. I needed to show up for myself. And I felt like I'd been showing up for myself all along, but this at this point it was like, no, I need to show up for myself. And I did some hard work. I actually I went into my bathroom one day and I was feeling really, really down, and I looked at myself and I was in tears, and I grabbed the lipstick out of my drawer, which hadn't been used for months because I was in a state where there was no way that I need to look good for anybody. And so I grabbed my lipstick and I wrote on my mirror in my bathroom, and I wrote, "I am enough." And I stood there and I cried, and it wasn't like little sobs. It was like ugly crying. It was like, this is seriously, this is not me. Like, I am enough. What am I enough for? Who am I enough for? I didn't feel like I was enough for anyone or anything. Like, it was in my mind that that was not true.
Was that
Right.
like the turning point for like is that the time where the the switch just flipped and that was it?
Yeah, it really, it was. That was, I mean, and there had been times throughout the years, because really it started back when I was in university is when it started, and so I had gone through years and years, probably about 20 years of feeling anxiety or being depressed, and on being on medications and on and off of medications, and just feeling like I didn't belong, And so, but at this point, when I took the lipstick and I wrote that on the mirror, that was really the main turning point as to when I started to really show up for myself a lot more, and know that, you know what? I am not going back to where I was. I'm not allowing myself to go back to that space, because it's not a space that I feel like I necessarily would have come out of if I hadn't made that decision. Like, if I hadn't made that decision, I don't know where I would be right now. So when I did write that, then I made myself say it. I made myself look in the mirror and say, "I am enough." And oh my gosh, that was the hardest thing that I've ever done. It was so painful. It was really hard. And then every morning I would get up and I'd look in the mirror and I would make myself say it. And it was through tears for the first few weeks. It was probably by the end of the second week, I could probably say it without crying. And then by the end of the third week, I think I was actually starting to believe that it was true. And not that it was true like for all of the time. Like, it's not like, oh, I'm enough for everything and everyone. It was more like, I'm enough to get through this first hour of this morning, and then we'll see what happens after that.
Right.
And then I am enough to get through, a half a day, and I'm enough to get through a day, and then I'm enough for this person, or I'm enough for my family, I'm enough for my children, I'm enough for, and it just kept growing and growing. And then I started writing other things on, actually, then I went to sticky notes, because I had to erase the lipstick off the mirror so I could see. So I started using sticky notes, and I would write on sticky notes. And so my bathroom mirror actually has sticky notes all around it. And sometimes I take some away and sometimes I add to, but they say things like, "I am whole, I'm perfect, I'm strong, I'm enough." And when I use those, I make sure that I say it with feeling and meaning, and that they actually do mean something to me. And it's not often that I need to use them now, but if I'm having a rough day, I go and I look at those and I remind myself where I came from.
Right.
And, of course, there were so many other things that happened in between that point and now, so that I am where I am, and that I am feeling, gratitude every day, and I'm in a positive state every day, and I know that even if I have rough days, that yes, there are days that aren't great, but I find something great in every day.
Right. Yeah, I think affirmations are I never thought that they work, but affirmations they truly, they truly work. And you do. I mean, when you're first starting out affirmations, at least for me, it's you feel like a fake. You feel like
Yeah.
you feel like, yeah, I'm an imposter, I'm a fake because,
Mhm.
saying I am enough when internally I really don't feel like I am enough. This is bullshit.
Yeah.
I'm BSing myself. This is a bunch of crap, but it
Hmm.
really does change. Now I use an application. I think it's called Think Up. It's
Okay.
it's an application on my phone, and basically what you do is you record affirmations of you saying them, and then it has them play back like 3 times a day. So
Excellent.
you get the repetition of hearing yourself actually doing the affirmations. It was something that kind of helped me, but
Hmm.
yeah, it's that feeling of being just a fake. And what do you think causes that internal feeling of, obviously you were feeling that, oh, I'm not good enough, because if you're doing affirmations saying I'm good enough, what
Hmm.
causes those feelings of being not adequate? Because most of the time, if I look at myself and I go through those same types of things, it's all just my perception of things.
Yes.
That's not the truth. You've always been enough, but there's
Hmm.
something in our mind that says, okay, you're not enough. It's that inner critic, that inner devil that says, you know what, you're not enough. And
Right.
where do you think that comes from?
I truly believe that we need to unpack the judgment that we have on ourselves because reality is shaped by perception. And so if I perceive something to be wrong, then it's wrong. And that's how I shape my reality, right? So if the meaning that I'm putting on a situation could be a meaning that happened way back in my childhood that
Yeah,
was linked to a situation that might be similar or reminded me of this situation, but it could be a past situation that I'm linking that meaning to what's happening now.
absolutely.
And then that emotion that goes with that can really be detrimental. And there's your judgment. You're judging this situation based on something that happened in the past. And I think we do that a lot in relationships as well, where, oh, well, I was hurt by this person, and so now I see you're doing that same thing, so that's you're gonna hurt me, right? And I know recently there was a situation that I was in my past relationships. I've had people who didn't necessarily support my cognitive mindset, so the way that I am as a person, not my personality, but how I work. So, for example, I start things really quick. I start things and I go go go, and then I don't always see them to completion because for me the process and the beginning part is exciting and the process through it until I reach a point where it's no longer a necessity to complete it because I've gone as far as I need to. So I work well in a team. So then I have had relationships in the past where people will say, "Yeah, well, you never finish things. I don't understand this. Like, what are you doing?" And then I would judge myself on that as well. So in the relationship that I am in now, I started taking a course called, or it was a Tony Robbins course anyway. I was taking this Tony Robbins course, and this friend of mine said, "Yeah, well, you know, you you will get a lot out of it even if you don't finish the course." And I looked at him and I said, "What is that supposed to mean?" And he did not mean it in the way that it sounded or the way that I took it. I put the meaning on it of, yeah, well, you never finish anything anyway. And that was
Right.
totally not the meaning that he was giving it. He was meaning that, you know what, you're going to learn so much from it. You'll take a lot from it and you know what? It doesn't matter if you finish the course because you're going to learn a lot anyway. But I was taking a meaning from something that happened in the past and putting it on to now,
Right.
and that was shaping my perception
Of
to
course.
what
Yeah.
he was meaning, right? And so that's what the kind of thing that we do. And so when we have expectations of other people, we come into disappointment. But when we have judgment on ourselves from things that have happened in the past, we run into disappointment because we're putting that meaning into situations that it doesn't
Right.
belong.
Right. Yeah, and it's like that saying. I think it was Victor Franco, But the only true thing that we have as humans is how we perceive things or how we react to things from the stimulus of what we get from what he said and to what
Yes.
we do. And it's funny. It's like if you go and let's say you see two car accidents, one person's going to get out and just be hysterical, pissed off. You did this. Why'd you do this? You hit me. And another person is going to get out of the car and say, yeah, that's why we have insurance, and no big deal.
Yes.
So it's
Right.
it's not the it's not the accident that caused the person to get mad,
Right.
because if it was the accident that caused it, everybody would be mad. It's
Right.
how we perceived, what happened, and the meaning that we put, the meaning that we put on it.
Right. Absolutely.
So why did you, what when we do things, when we make changes, when we make mindset changes, when we do things, there's meaning behind it, and there's a reason why we did that. What was going on, and what was your why to finally make that change, to flip that switch?
The reason that I really needed to make that change is because I didn't know how else to continue with life. Like I didn't know how else to move forward. I was at a state where, I didn't want to leave my house. I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want my sense of self was so low that, even getting up to make food was difficult because I didn't care. And so I said to myself, you know what? For my kids, I need to make sure that I take care of me. And what kind of a mom can I be if I can't take care of myself? And they were older already, and so and being divorced, they would be at their dad's one week and at my house one week, and when they were gone to his house is when I would be crashing most of the time because I was lonely. I didn't have people around. It was just me, and it didn't feel good. And so I had to find a way to make it so that I loved me and that I accepted me and that it wasn't about outside stimuli.
Right,
It wasn't about other people. It was simply about how I felt about me.
right.
And
Yeah. And it's so how do you think you would have gone through it? Because I think now, what's going on with, the quarantines and the COVID-19 stuff. And I think that
Mhm.
mental health right now is I'm telling you, it is, to me, that's going to be one of the biggest downfalls from this quarantine stuff is, how would have you reacted back then with what's going on now? If you hadn't taken care of stuff, to me, it's like a double whammy.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't know how I would have reacted. I know that it would have been very difficult. I know that I need, or even then, I needed to be able to get out of the house. I needed that push to be able to get out of the house, to go to work, to do things like that. Because if I didn't have that, it would have made me wallow and it would have been way worse,
Right.
So I agree. The mental health states of not only adults right now, but our children.
Yes.
That's what worries me, because I am a teacher, and knowing that these children aren't connecting with their peers like they should be and aren't able to be, with each other, it frightens me. I feel like that's going to be there are going to be some very anxious people when schools reopen, and I think that, and we don't know if that's going to happen yet in the fall or when that's going to happen, but there's going to be a lot of people who want to stay home. A lot of children who want to stay home, and
Right.
parents who want their kids to stay home because they've been home for so long. And but I think that society is needing everybody to be back where in their schools, in their jobs, so that we can deal with some of this angst that's going to be, and hopefully we'll figure out a way very quickly to support the people that need the support and that they reach out. That's a huge thing, right?
Right. Yeah, that's very big. And I want to, I want people that are listening, or I want you people that anybody that's listening, we really, this is such an important thing for our
Mhm.
physical health. Our mental health really is such a huge thing for our physical health. What are you afraid to go back to school? I mean, are you? It's going to change
I
everything.
It will. It'll change absolutely everything. I'm not afraid to go back to school, and in fact, I miss my kids. I miss the hugs, the handshakes, the high fives. I miss the communication. I get to see small groups of them online, but it's different. It's much different online than it is in person. And there are lots of families who are out and they're doing things with their kids and meeting other families and such, or back communicating and small group meetings and such. But there are lots that aren't.
Yeah.
And then the the parents, right? I'm worried a lot about the moms and the dads that are at home right now with the kids. And when those kids go back to school, what does that look like for families that have been together and have not had to, send their kids off to school or be involved in 10 different sports, which it's fantastic. There's a great family things happening. But when we go back, what does that look like for those
Right.
families?
Well, we are herd creatures. We need to have that interaction. We really do.
Mhm.
And I think one of the things that's going to come out of this is people will be, at least for a while, they'll be much more grateful for having that connection, for having those people, for having that.
Yes.
And to me, having that gratitude for that they wouldn't, because we took it for granted. We took going to work for
Mhm.
granted. We took, going out and meeting people for granted. We took, all this stuff for granted. And
Yes.
hopefully this will be a awakening call for people to really be grateful to have those things, to have those communities, to have those, those things that they just can't have right now.
Absolutely. And I do hope that when we are able to do all of the things that we used to do, that people aren't overscheduling themselves, that they are still taking the time to go for walks and to, enjoy family time and play
Right.
games and not feel like their children have to be in or they have to be in so many different activities throughout the week, that they can unschedule themselves a bit. Um, but yes, I think that we need to really look at and support each other and know that, what, if you are struggling, reach out to people, because that's the way that support helps so much. Even just having a picking up the phone and calling somebody. If you don't want to see them face to face, call them and chat for 5 minutes. Just a little connection makes such a difference in your life.
Right.
And yeah.
Yeah, and do you think I think it'll be easier for people, especially now we've been forced to do these Zooms and we've been forced to do Skypes and we've been forced to connect online like we haven't in the past. So I think it's
Mhm.
good. We miss the interaction, we miss the, the one-on-one, but I think in some cases it might be easier for someone to reach out to someone now to say, "Hey, at least I can see you. I know it's not, I'm not ready to be, one on one with someone, but at least I can sit here, I can see you, I can talk to you,
Mhm.
and I can get things out."
Yes, absolutely. I truly believe that too. And if you, especially if you're struggling, you just making that step to reach out and just say to somebody, and there's nothing wrong with saying to somebody, what, I'm struggling right now. I just need somebody to help me out for a short time, or however long it is. But
Right.
people are more than willing to listen and to chat with you and support you, because we all need that sometimes. It's not even people like Tony Robbins will say, I have my rough days too. And he's such an important and incredible positive mindset person that when you hear somebody like that say that they have days too, that they struggle, then you know it's everybody that does,
Right.
right? So knowing that everybody does makes it a little easier to reach out for that support.
Right. And it is. I mean, you have to have the downs with the ups. I mean, to me, it's two sides of the same coin. I mean, you cannot
Mhm.
have, highs and all this happiness without having some lows. I mean, they go hand in hand, and you have to. So, what would be one of the triggers that you would recognize if you were going back into, being anxious, or what's something in your mind that says, oh, I've got to pay attention to this, because this is a trigger that's gonna,
Yeah.
potentially.
For me, it's like I can feel it. Like I feel my heart start to race. I feel in my solar plexus, so the middle, kind of like underneath my rib cage. I feel like a knot forming. I get actually cold shivers. I like it's a physical feeling for me. And then when I feel it physically, then my mind starts to race a little bit and wonder, okay, what's going to happen if? And when in anxiety, it's because I'm thinking about the future. What's going to happen if this happens? What could happen? Something bad could happen, or I fear something. And then if it's depression, I'm thinking about something that's happened in the past and wishing I could have fixed it or done it differently. And so I know that if I'm focusing on the now, what's happening around me right now, that I can't be in anxiety or depression
Right.
because I'm not focused on the past or the future. So focusing on what's going on right now really helps me to not feel that way. But yeah, lots of feelings of, physically not normal feeling, right?
Right.
It's the heart, the shivers, the stomach tw- twisting and winding and forming a ball, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
And what you said, that is so important on living in the now. And you are you are absolutely, everything that I've read, learned, and do, it's you cannot live in the future. You cannot live in the past. You only have right now, and right
Hmm.
now, and right now. It's always just the now.
That's right.
When I get those feelings of that, that wrenching feeling, it's normally just sarcasm, just waiting to get out. That's
That's awesome.
So what, I mean, so if there's, you have these things coming, and
Hmm.
one of the things that you're saying is, call someone, reach out to someone, just talk to someone. And
Right.
the other one is live in the now. What can you
Hmm.
do right now? That is, and sometimes that's hard to do,
It
to
absolutely.
refocus yourself into the now, and not live in the future, or the past.
Hmm. It is, and I guess one of the ways that I do it is when I find myself flipping into the future or into the past, I go to gratitude. So when I start my day, before I get out of bed every morning, I find five things, at least five. Often it strings into many more than five, but five things that I'm grateful for before I step my foot onto the floor. Because if I start my day in gratitude, then that's setting myself up for a better day all the way around. So it can be as simple as I'm grateful for this comfortable bed I'm in. I'm grateful for my blankets that are keeping me warm. I'm grateful for this roof that's over my head. I'm grateful for the sun that's shining in through my window. I'm grateful for my children. I'm grateful for my family. And then when I get into the shower, it's I'm grateful for this hot water, and I just keep going because I find that truly, the more that you can be grateful for things, the more things to be grateful for that will come to you.
Absolutely. And you know what's funny is your body, your posture, everything about you changed. Physically, I'm watching you change when you started talking about what you're grateful for. You
Yeah,
stood up more, you smiled more. I'm telling you, I just saw a physical change when you were talking
yeah,
about gratitude and what you're grateful
yeah,
for. And that's amazing.
And the important thing when you say that is that your physiology makes such a difference as to how you feel, right? Because it's like if you're slouched over and your head is down and you've got a frown on your face, that's how you're going to feel. But if you're sitting upright, your shoulders are back, you've got a smile on your face, you're going to feel that way because you're teaching the chemicals in your brain how to react, or how what chemicals to um to produce.
Right.
When you smile, you're actually causing endorphins to be released in your brain, and that causes you to be happy,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
you can trick yourself into being happy just by smiling.
Yes.
So
And to me, it puts you in a different energy. So
absolutely.
even if you don't, even if you're not in the best of moods, if you stand up straight and you smile and walk with your chest out, the energy of your body is going to, that's a different energy than when you're slouched over and you're not, oh yeah.
Yeah.
That energy alone will help you get out of that slum. I mean, the energy itself changes even when you're just doing the motion, even if you don't feel it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now you've talked about, Tony and some other people within here. What is, to me, when we go and we learn from people, and we read books, and to me, that is one of the most important things that we can do for our mindset, because you're taking someone who they might have spent 20 years learning something, how to do something, and they've condensed it down into a book that you can consume, within a week or two.
Mhm.
What are some of the most important books that you've read in regards to like mindset?
I would say, listening to, because I like to listen to podcasts and Unleashing the Power Within. So I went to that workshop, and then um, The Ultimate Edge,
Oh,
Tony
great one.
Robbins.
That is a fantastic.
It is incredible.
Yeah.
The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, Dr. Joe Dispenza, any of his work as well. But yeah, Tony Robbins, Dr. Joe Dispenza, Eckhart Tolle, those are probably three of my favorite. But there is such a long list of people. But yeah, The Ultimate Edge is probably my favorite, and then anything by Dr. Joe, because of the neuropsychology behind how you can create your reality, and there's it's all about how your brain processes things, and that knowing that your brain can't tell the difference between something that you're just thinking and something that you're actually doing. So it can't tell if you're actually going for a run or if you're just playing a run in your head,
Absolutely.
right? So if you know that, then you know that you can create the reality that you want. And so, reading these people and knowing that, it's liberating, really. It's freeing to know that you can create what you want in your life.
Right. Yeah. And I think when you read a book from somebody, you're actually getting into their energy level, their
Mm,
thought energy. When you're reading their stuff, you actually get into that realm of where they were when they wrote that.
absolutely. I would have to agree 100%. Like when I first uh, read the book, or actually I listened to this is dating me, but the CDs of The Secret,
Oh yeah.
um, you know, boy, that was a game changer too. That it was stuff that I didn't know, and that was the first time I heard a lot of the things that were about mindset and about um, creating your own reality, and so then when you dig a little deeper and you read more and you learn more, it's mind-boggling that you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
There's
Absolutely.
so much.
Yeah. And you hear people say you can create things in your mind, you can do, but you see it all the time. I mean, you see it in
Yeah.
athletes when they sit there and they'll go through everything before they actually do it. They win on whether you're skiing, whether you're playing basketball, it doesn't matter, but they win in their mind before they
Mhm.
win on the field. And
Absolutely. I had a teacher, a phys ed teacher, when I was growing up. His name was Reg Lytle, and he actually did a study, and he was telling us about the study that he did. And he would always tell us when we were doing our long jump, he would say, before you start, visualize how far you're going to jump, visualize
right.
how far you're going to get. And so we would do our jump before he would tell us that. And then we would do a jump after he told us to do that. And boy, we could see how
Yeah,
much farther we got, right?
absolutely. Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
funny, you to me that works for everything, but I see it more people doing sports. Like if you watch the Olympics, I
Hmm.
see all the time where they're visualizing what they're doing before they do it more than anything. But if
Absolutely.
you can do it in business, you can do it in relationships,
Yes.
you can do anything you want. It's you actually see it happening when you watch when you watch sports.
Absolutely. And it's not about just seeing it in your mind, it's about feeling how you would feel when you actually get it,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah, it's incredible
Yeah,
for sure.
it's if you've ever listened to or read Think and Grow Rich, and how you
Mhm.
visualize that stuff,
Mhm.
to me one of the funny things is you have to visualize it, but
Yeah.
you visualizing yourself having $1 million, that's not $1 million. It's not going to produce $1 million. It's
Right.
it's just the vibration of $1 million.
Right.
You still have to feel it. You still have to act upon it, but you visualize it. That gives you that you're in that vibration that you can go and do what you need to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think, being a school teacher and stuff, do you expect things to go back to any sort of normal?
I hope that the kids are able to um, be in each other's spaces at school again. Like I really do, because I think that physical proximity and the energy that that creates is really important for the kids. I think it's really important for society, because
Yeah.
if we grow up, if the children grow up not having to communicate with people outside of their own little home or their own little realm, it's going to be difficult to be in society for some of those kids.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think we have to get back to being social creatures.
yeah,
Yeah, without a
absolutely.
doubt. So
Mm.
how do people, so you've lived with, anxiety and depression, and you've done all this mindset work, and I know you are absolutely passionate about helping other people get through this
Yes.
and
Yeah.
and work on this and get out of that, get out of that mindset and get out of that space. What's
Mm.
the best way for people to get in touch with you?
The easiest way for them to get in touch with me is to just go to my Facebook profile page. It's a public page, and it's Tamela, Tamela, and the last name is Apple, Appel. So it's spelt a little different, but yeah,
You just got to
that's
be
the
different.
easiest way.
You got to be
Yes.
different.
Absolutely. That's what makes me unique, right?
And also for everyone listening, this is also going to be in the show notes. So if you're driving, don't worry about it. You can just go to the show notes and click on the link, and it'll take you there as well. So if you could sum down in just three quick things, what are the three biggest things someone needs to do if they are feeling that, just that anxiety and that depression?
Hmm. One big thing is breath, and we never talked about that, but um, just taking in a deep breath, holding it for a count of four, letting it out. Breathing in through your nose, holding it for a count of four, breathing out through your mouth. So doing that for, even if it's a minute, even if it's 2 minutes, just refocusing so that you're paying attention to your breath in and out. Also the gratitude, being grateful for anything, and it can be the cup that you're drinking from, but whatever it is, bring yourself back to right now and be grateful for the things that are around you. And unpacking your judgment. You know what? We all make mistakes. We all do things that aren't perfect, but it's never failure unless you don't learn from it.
Right. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Now, my wife thinks I'm perfect. I don't know why she thinks I'm perfect. I know I'm not. but for some reason she
Eh,
does. But
I'm sure she does.
yeah, she's probably gonna hit me for that one.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Oh,
been absolutely fantastic having you on the show today. And this is such a huge thing because I know so many people who live with this, and there is a way out. You know, there is
there
a way
is.
to live happy and grateful and joyful if we just get our mindset right. I think that's the
Absolutely.
biggest thing. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, again, thank you so much for being on. I know the listeners are going to get so much out of this, and I know we're going to. I know, and to me, if one person listening is able to get something out of this and shift their mindset, it is an absolute win. Even if just one
Absolutely.
person. Yeah. So thank you again. Thank you for everything that you do as well, because again, this is very important. And I think this is going to be bigger now than it's been in a long time with stuff that's going on. So thank you
I
so much for
agree.
doing what you do. And hopefully we'll stay in touch. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Thank you so much, Sean. Thanks for having me on. It's been great to chat with you, and thank you for all that you do, because I know that you're a big proponent of positive mindset and supporting people. So I
absolutely.
appreciate that very much.
Thank you very much. It was so great having Tamela on the show today, and I hope everyone enjoyed the show and what she had to say, and hopefully someone can use this information to better their life. And everyone, remember to check out the show notes that we've mentioned in the show. There's links to get in touch with Tamela. I've got a link in there for a free audiobook from Audibles. There's a link for a free download of Think and Grow Rich. There's a book I use in some of my workshops. So until next week, remember to always think big. And if you haven't already subscribed and rated the podcast, please do me a huge, huge favor. Review and subscribe to the podcast. It really does help. And as a matter of fact, every week I'm going to give a shout out to someone who's taken the time to leave a review, hopefully a good one. And this week's shout out goes to Jackie HD0330. They say, teaches success at its roots. Sean gives practical advice on mindset and how to literally think big. He highlights that without mindset change, your life literally won't change. Awesome content and advice, very inspiring and motivating. Thank you so much, Jackie HD. You don't know how much that means. I'm glad you are enjoying the show and the content. Till next week, everyone, enjoy.